Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're talking about the one and only legendary Zebec. Now, listen, Zebec is heading to Frankfurt. All right. It's going to Germany, ladies and gentlemen, in 2025, taking place September 29th to the 2nd. We'll be in the room with some of the biggest names in the global finance to push forward the conversation on stablecoins, payments, and more. So, look, ladies and gentlemen, just another W. Sure, it's not the biggest of W's, but a W is a W. They are active. They are doing it. Like I said, these guys are going to go global, and I just believe in Zebec. I think this is one of the hottest cryptos, one of the most underrated cryptos out there, and I will stand by this until I'm proven wrong. Okay, obviously, I'm not going to wait, 10, 20 years to be like, aha, see it eventually went up. No, I think this cycle it's going to do really, really, really well. Okay, really well. Anyways, let's talk about the technical analysis, but on the higher time frame. Look, for me, Zebec is very, very unique, very special. Okay. The reason why I say that is because the way it trades is super, super fundamental. Okay. Like, I mean, super fundamental. Like, this is easier than, literally like 98, 99% of other pairs. Like, when I look at gold, gold's harder. When I look at, any Forex pair, it's harder. When I look at most cryptos, it's harder. But Zebec, I'm telling you, this thing trades so beautifully, so fundamentally, which is why, I believe it is super, manipulated. I believe the institutions, are really in this one. Okay. Because when something trades a certain type of way, it's just it's just a classic manipulation recipe that traders see. Okay, that's like the easiest way I can put it, which is good because it's easy to identify, reversals where they might be going next, where there's high probabilities. Revert like I said, like the reversals either for pumping or for getting the top, right? Like when we talked about selling Zbec, we didn't get the literal top, but we got, pretty much the top. We like got in this zone right over here. Okay. So we got in this zone right over here at 0.006263 area. And you can see, right? You can see that that's almost near the top. And, we did call pretty much the last almost relative bottom before the actual reversals. All right. We bought over here. It was in the private community. And then boom, right? We sold over here. So, you know, it's just the candles, the everything, the structure. It just gives you such a high probability cause of what's going to happen next, which is why I really like it. We can go back to one of the last couple of videos where we talked about literally this reversal here, right? We broke down this reversal. We said how there's most likely going to bounce off this area, go back down to this area over here to this specific candle, and it wasn't by coincidence. Right now we saw a rally. It wasn't by coincidence. It's just because, you know, when the more something is manipulated, you just kind of learn what should happen next. And Zebek is super manipulated in a good way. And like I said, very, very fundamental. Because even look right now, even right now, it's beautiful, classic support and resistance. Boom, right over here. We got more support and resistance, classic like here. Okay, it is just absolutely wonderful. If we actually even go to the lower time frames for something like the 15-minute, like this thing just goes into certain order blocks and candles. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am super, super excited to be talking about Zbec. Look at this. This crypto is absolutely phenomenal with just the way it trades off of zones. Um, and with that being said, I'm really, really confident that there is going to be a high chance that we are going to be sweeping this low over here, ladies and gentlemen, because of the manipulation, because of the fundamentals, because of the way I've seen Zbec move over the last few months. I am not even going to doubt this crypto. I'm not going to second guess myself. I do believe, we will be taking out the 0.004. And I do believe, ladies and gentlemen, there's a very high chance that we will be coming down here for the last big fundamental retest before we start the official rally. Okay. I do genuinely believe that this zone will be the last big zone, your last buying opportunity to get ZBEC at a really cheap price before everything blast offs. Okay. I really do think that. I really do think that. I would be really surprised if we would go lower, right? If something like this would happen, that means something would be really wrong in the markets itself, right? If it's for Zebec to continue to drop like this, it's either Zebec, something happened with Zebec and it just blew up, or it's the markets where everybody was wrong, where maybe Bitcoin starts selling off and altcoin season just never happened. But you can't be thinking about the what ifs, right? That's the thing with trading. You have to think about what is in front of you. So you know, and Zebec is suggested is going to go down because we have a top, we have a lower top, right? This bottom already is getting wrecked right now, and the next zone is to take out this bottom over here, and the next station pretty much is to take this out because this is the next big relevant support. Plus, we have an institutional candle, right? And me yapping earlier about how well it's manipulated and stuff. You know, institutional candles are very important for crypto like Zebec because, like I said, it's the institutions doing this. So, look, people, ultimately, it does look good. We just have a couple of days left for August, um, or a couple of days left for August. I still do believe that this close is pretty much just going to be the key decider of what's going to happen. And since there's only a few days left, I'm really confident that we're not going to close below 0.0042. Now, the reason why you might be confused, and just to clarify, you might say, well, this close is good, so why is it going to go down? Ladies and gentlemen, because usually in the first week to 10 days of a month, you might see some manipulation before reversals. Okay, that's why. The markets are not shy to try to bait people to then reverse. We go back to something like Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. If you were there, right? So I know a lot of you guys are new viewers because I didn't talk about ZBEC back then, but we talked about how, listen, it was February, March time. I said that there's a high probability that we won't even reverse until April time. But April in the beginning, it's going to bait you. And then what happened? Right? Boom, first week of April, we went down a couple of days, right? We start to sell off first couple of days, and then we can see by the 9th, we started to recover. And then, for a couple of days, pretty much a week, we went sideways. And then it was clear as day by the 21st that we were really pumping, right? So, you know, it just, I've seen it so many times. I've seen it so many times through my life that, this type of sell off, you just need to prepare. Okay. You just need to prepare. But that is ultimately it going to be, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you guys think. Today was a more of a technical analysis video, a more in depth about how, I guess, ZBEC works. I'm super, super excited about this crypto. I really do believe, you get this at a discount. All right, get this at a discount for roughly that 20%. Oh, might have to put a big bag in it. I'm not even gonna lie. Might have to put a big bag because I do believe ZBEC is going to be one of the hottest cryptos. I believe it's probably going to be entering the top 20 this cycle. I mean, that sounds crazy. That does sound crazy. Okay. But top 50 should be smashed. Top 35 should be pretty good. And top 20, I mean, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard, but top 50 for sure. Top 50 for sure. Very confident. Anyways, that is it. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.